Behind the glowing screens we use every day, two titans wage a silent war, not with bullets or armies, but with data, design, and dominance. On one side stands Apple, the guardian of privacy and elegance. On the other, Google, the master of information and connection. Their rivalry shapes how billions think, move, and live. Yet most people have no idea it's even happening.
Before the war began, they were allies. In the early 2000s, Apple and Google shared a dream to make technology smarter, simpler, and more human. Steve Jobs envisioned a phone that could change the world. Sergey Brin and Larry Page imagined organizing all the world's information. For a brief moment, their missions aligned. When the first iPhone launched in 2007, it came with Google Maps and YouTube pre-installed. Jobs even called Google a natural partner. What the world didn't know was that deep inside Google's labs, a secret project was already underway, one that would soon shatter this friendship forever.
While Apple was busy perfecting the iPhone, Google was working on something that would change everything: Android. What started as a small startup became Google's hidden weapon. In secret meetings, engineers designed an open-source mobile system that could rival Apple's closed ecosystem. When Steve Jobs discovered this, he felt stabbed in the back. He believed Google had stolen Apple's ideas, and he wasn't wrong to think so. Android's early prototypes suddenly began to look and feel a lot like the iPhone. The alliance was over. What began as friendship turned into all-out corporate warfare.
The year is 2010. The air inside Apple's headquarters is tense. Steve Jobs is furious. To him, Google's move wasn't competition, it was betrayal. In a private meeting, he slams his hand on the table and declares war. He vows to destroy Android, calling it a stolen product. What once was a quiet rivalry has now become a battlefield that will shape the next decade of technology. Apple sues manufacturers using Android, unleashing a wave of lawsuits around the world. Samsung, HTC, and Motorola are caught in the crossfire. Google responds by doubling down, rallying partners, and declaring Android free for anyone to use. The result? A global Cold War. Two visions, two empires, both determined to dominate the pocket of every human being on Earth.
The war has left the boardroom. It's now in the hands of the people. From New York to Nairobi, from Tokyo to Sao Paulo, billions of consumers are unknowingly choosing sides. Apple and Google are no longer just brands, they are belief systems. Owning an iPhone becomes a statement of taste, status, identity. Holding an Android device means freedom, choice, rebellion against the closed world of Apple. Commercials glorify the differences. Apple's ads whisper, "Think different." Google's campaigns shout, "Be open." What started as a tech rivalry becomes a philosophical divide. Every purchase, every tap, every app download becomes a vote in a silent global war, one that never stops, even when the screen goes dark. As the rivalry deepens, both empires strike back, not with armies, but with ideas. Apple doubles down on privacy, wrapping its users in a digital fortress. Every move says one thing: your data is yours. The company paints itself as the last safe haven in a world of surveillance. Google, on the other hand, marches under the flag of innovation. Information should be free, they claim. Their ecosystem thrives on openness. Billions of devices connected, learning, evolving together. But beneath these slogans lies a darker truth. Apple's walls keep others out, but they also keep users in. Google's open door welcomes everyone, but also watches everything. The war is no longer about who makes the best phone. It's about who defines the future of human freedom. In boardrooms and secret labs, two of the most powerful companies on Earth prepare their next moves, each believing they are saving the world from the other.
You don't see it, you don't hear it, but every second the war rages on. deep inside the networks that power your life. Google's armies are invisible, fleets of algorithms crawling the web, analyzing clicks, location data, search histories. Every touch, every voice command, every scroll feeds the machine. The goal? To understand humanity better than it understands itself. Apple, watching from its glass fortress, builds walls higher than ever. Each iOS update tightens the grip, blocking trackers, encrypting mail, cutting off access points that once flowed freely into Google's empire. The battlefield is no longer about phones or apps. It's about who owns your digital shadow. As Apple blinds Google's trackers, ad revenues shrink, tensions rise, and behind closed doors, executives talk not of innovation, but of survival. And while users celebrate privacy wins, few realize they're standing on a new kind of front line, where freedom, convenience, and control collide.
It was no longer a quiet war fought in boardrooms or hidden code. It was now public. Apple fired the first global shot. In one of its most dramatic moves, it released a campaign that shook Silicon Valley. Privacy, that's iPhone. Billboards, TV ads, keynote speeches, all aimed directly at Google's heart. Google's entire empire was built on data, on the belief that personalization meant progress. But Apple reframed the narrative, turning privacy into a weapon. Overnight, millions began to question what Google really knew about them. In response, Google went on the offensive, investing billions into AI, voice recognition, and predictive search, arguing that smarter data meant a smarter world. The world split into two camps, those who believed in control and those who believed in convenience. And as both sides strengthened their armies, the user, you, became the battlefield itself.
The war between Google and Apple is far from over. It's only changing form. The new battlefield isn't your phone, it's your mind. AI has become the weapon both sides wield in silence. Google's vision is one of connection, an all-knowing network that learns, adapts, predicts, a world where machines understand you before you even speak. Apple's vision is the opposite, a digital fortress where privacy is sacred and intelligence lives on your device, not in the cloud. It's control versus protection, knowledge versus trust. Each update, each innovation, each headline is another move in a war most of the world doesn't even know is happening. And as AI grows stronger, the line between user and product blurs forever. Who will win? The company that knows everything about you, or the one that refuses to know too much? Maybe neither, because in the end, the real question isn't who controls technology, it's who technology will control next.